Hello, this is Organization with Olu. Today we're going to talk about business ownership. Stick around. I think you're going to like what I've got for you. Right now, what I'm going to do is share my screen. Okay, guys, we're going to go on to business ownership. Okay, we're just going to start straight away because within 10 minutes, we're going to cover every part of business ownership. Okay, so stick around. Okay, the first thing you need to do before, you remember I've talked about the case study. I've talked about the importance of a case study. I've talked about the importance of picking out clues in the case study to get an indication that Billy or Paul should maybe they want to be a sole trader and why they should be a sole trader. However, before you can do any of this, you must know the facts. There's certain things you need to know before you can answer the questions. And we're going to go over some of the things you need to know. Okay? So the first thing, what does a business ownership mean? It means how the business is owned in the eyes of the law, the legal framework that the business follows, the legal framework that the business follows. For example, I've got a question for you. Does it mean that one person will always work as a sole trader? We need to talk about a sole trader. Does it mean it's only one person in the business? No. It's only one person that owns the business, only one person that legally owns the business. However, you can have lots of people working, but the law will recognize just one person as owning the business. Okay, so that's the ownership, and that's important when we're thinking about how the business is owned. Sole trader, think about the benefits of a sole trader, the flexibility, the ability to choose the direction of the business without having to consult with so many people. You can decide where you want, how you want the business to go. It's much less paperwork as well. Much less paperwork being a sole trader. Okay. Major issues is unlimited liability. Guys, this is a major issue. You and the business are the same. What that means is that whatever debts the business has, unfortunately, you have them. Whatever debts they have, you have them. You cannot separate it. In the eyes of the law, you and the business are the same. Okay. And it means, yes, it does mean you can lose your personal possessions like your house and your car because there's no separate entity. You are the same as the business. It's very important, guys. You get this. You have unlimited liability as a sole trader, okay? Which means you can be personally liable for any debts the business incurs. Okay, what about a partnership? A partnership, remember two or more people having a partnership. A partnership also has unlimited liability. What does it mean for the partners? What it means for the partners is that you're liable. You are liable. If your partner does something wrong, your partner goes to the casino in Las Vegas and gambles all your money, all the money away. Well, you're still liable. You are liable. Okay, that's effectively what it means. You have what you call unlimited liabilities. There's also a lot of risk as a partnership as well. Okay. In the eyes of the law, everything is jointly shared among the partners. So you need to have what you call a deed of partnership. It's very important. That talks about how the profits are going to be shared. And what happens if, unfortunately, one of the partners dies? What happens? Because technically, if there's two of you and one person, unfortunately, was to pass away, the partnership ends. It totally ends. And therefore, the spouse will be entitled to take the deceased partnership's assets, and that's the end of your partnership. So what you have to do, you have to set up a deed of partnership and explain what will happen in terms of profit sharing and what happens if one of you unfortunately were to pass away. That is very important, guys, so make sure you know that. Now let's go into private limited company. Okay, private limited company, LTD. This has what you call limited liability. What does this mean? It means you're a separate legal entity. It means you're totally separate from your business. Okay? And that is very, very, very important. But can you still get a knock on your door? Yes, of course you can. If you owe money, they will definitely still knock on your door. However, they cannot take your house or they cannot take your car, provided that is in your name. But they will definitely still come to your house because they want to find out who owns this computer. Is it the company's computer or is it your computer? Who owns this car, they will check that the car belongs to you and not your company. So you still get a knock on your doors. So, just bear that in mind. But under the eyes of the law, they cannot take your personal possessions. You have what you call a limited liability because you have a separate entity. And what that means, guys, is that you and the business are totally separate. You're different people. So whatever debts the business has, you will not have. And one of the major benefits of this as well, unfortunately, when if someone was to pass away, you can then put, if you put the shares in your will, it means the business can still continue running. Business can still run even if you were to pass away. Your children could still run the business, because whoever owns the shares will own the business. Whoever owns the shares own the business, and because you're separate from the business still stays independently. Okay, so hopefully that's clear. Please go back on my previous videos. I have covered LTD to something to quite in much more detail. Go back to my previous videos, guys. Very, very important. Okay. Right. What is the issue with a limited company? Why isn't everybody a limited company? Why are people sole traders? It's because there's a lot of paperwork. As a sole trader, you need articles of association. You need certificate of incorporation. A business accounts must be made available at company house for everyone to see. The audit, you have to have an auditor to check your accounts every year. So there's a lot of paperwork. So that possibly explains why some people prefer to be a sole trader, okay, even though they have unlimited liability, okay? Right, let's talk about a PLC, public limited company. They have a big advantage over a private limited company, because a private limited company can only sell shares to maybe their family or their relations. A PLC can raise capital, can sell shares to the general public by, for example, issuing more shares. Example, Virgin Galactic raised over $500 million on the back of Richard Branson successfully going to space. They issued more shares, which caused the share dilution, which caused the share price to go down. But anyway, that's another issue. But you can raise more capital by issuing more shares to the general public. You cannot do that in a private company. You have to only, because the articles of association will be quite strict about that, and they will tell you can only sell to members of your family or maybe your relations. Okay, but a PLC can basically sell shares to the general public. Therefore, they have access to a much larger amount of capital. Okay, remember, in PLC, shareholders have also got limited liability. They will only lose what you've invested. They will only lose what they invested, but there are some disadvantages, such as if you have bad press, everyone knows about it, and your shares can automatically tumble, and therefore the value of your company can just tumble on the back of some negative information or gossip or publicity. Then suddenly your share, everything goes down. So that is one massive disadvantage. But there are a lot of advantages being a PLC. You can raise capital substantially, and also the shareholders will only lose what they've paid in. Okay, so do not get mixed up between LTD and PLC. Both of them have limited liability, but just think about the shares. Who can buy the shares and who can't buy the shares? Okay. Right. Next one we're going to talk about is not-for-profit. The primary aim for not-for-profit is not-for-profit. They're basically set up not necessarily to make profit. That's not the main thing. For example, if you see homeless people, are you going to suddenly think, oh, it's an opportunity to make loads of money? No, you're not thinking about that. You're thinking about helping the homeless people. So you set it up with the primary aim of helping homeless people. You must put about 50% must be reinvested back into the business. Okay. A good example is social enterprises like charities. They're very good examples. Okay. Good question. This is a really good question for you to think about. What happens if you do not reinvest at least 50%? Remember, I said 50% has to be reinvested. What happens if you don't reinvest 50% and you buy something else? You happen to buy this. What happens to you? You will get in trouble, because you are. The idea is that because you're going to get lots of tax benefits. You're not going to pay any corporation tax because you're registered as a not-for-profit. Okay. That's what you're set up as. If you break those rules, you can be not only will you get a massive tax bill, you also can face legal consequences as well. So you have to stay within that. And as a result of that, it's less flexible. You can't suddenly change it and say, well, I want to do something else now, because it's set up for that particular purpose. Okay. So hopefully, guys, do they need to make profits? I want you to think about this question and answer it, and think about, do they need to make profit even though they're not set up for this? Okay, guys? So hopefully you benefited from this. Like, share, and subscribe. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.